Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out this headline. Could we see a black swan event in the regular global economy, certainly with the U.S. dollar and its international role, that could collide with U.S. stablecoins and crypto? Somebody roll that beautiful intro so we can find out.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Give us a follow there. And right now, it is July 28th. Good afternoon, everybody. 2022, $1.019 trillion is where we are for the market cap for crypto. Follow Coin Paprika. Download the app. Check them out. Get your own list of favorites. We're going to go over it and do an real dive on some of these tokens that I'm looking at and invested in just to see what everybody's doing. I'm excited to see what you guys are into. But right now, let's take a look at the numbers because the market is really responding in a positive way today. Bitcoin is 24,000 plus, up 7.47 on the 24-hour. Right now, Ethereum is 1,700 plus, and it's up almost 11% in the 24-hour. XRP climbing to the number 6 spot right now, is up 6.54% on this, but let's look really right here on the fiat link, and we see that we're up 9.43%, says fiat link, ranging between 34 and 37 cents. Now, I know that there are a lot of uncertainty in the market, right? And we saw that again with Jerome Powell, Fed hike interest rate by 75 basis points for the second month in a row in attempt to slow rising inflation, which was supposed to be transitory, ladies and gentlemen. And shout out to Masterworks for this, but this is one of the reasons I love Masterworks so much, because I can invest in multi-million-dollar art the way the richest people of the world have been doing for years. But instead of having to buy a whole painting myself, they have securitized it and commoditized it so you can buy shares for $20 a swing. If you had invested $45,000 in the last round of paintings that were sold, you would have made $60,000. How about that one? And we know that nothing is guaranteed in this world, but the similar works are blowing away the S&P right now. If you just look at these numbers right here, make sure you check a link underneath the video for that. And I have an opportunity, and I feel so proud that I'm able to buy into some of the most incredible art. Andy Warhol, Christopher Wool, Pablo Picasso, things I never would have thought possible. And I love art, so it's really a big deal to me too. All right, look right here. Danelle Dixon says she's excited for this, and I am too, Danelle. Jeremy Allaire and her are joining in September to converge for 22 in San Francisco, and it's going to be a really good talk about inclusive financial system built on chain, and I can't wait to hear about it because I tell you, I think big things are coming for XLM, XRP, and certainly USD coin, which I think becomes the retail-facing digital dollar. And here we see from Yoshitaka Kitao, original seed investor in Ripple, says BCK22, blockchain Kyagi, will be held at Tohoku University in Sendai City, and it's August 4th to August 5th. And we know we're supposed to have keynote speakers at that, which will be none other than CTO David Schwartz and Vitalik Buterin from Ethereum. I'll be looking for those clips to come out of that conference if we're able to get them. I hope you're willing to talk about Ethereum Joseph Lubin teaching whales and investors how to disguise their identities to obfuscate regulators during the ETH ICO. It should be a blast. This is a message I put out here to Ryan Selkis from Masari, who announced that he is going to be doing a fireside chat with none other than Brad Garlinghouse at Mainnet 22. So we'll keep an eye out for that as well. He said, I couldn't believe it when my programming team told me, but alas, it is true. Well, you should consider yourself lucky because you are half the man that guy is ever, Ryan. And you are very lucky to sit on a stage with him. And I hope that you conduct yourself with some real sense, because if I've ever seen more fitting name, I've never seen a more fitting name or handle on Twitter at 2-Bit Idiot. Yeah, that's perfect for Ryan. So we'll see how that goes too. Looking right here, Todd Tired on the SEC's persecution of the library. The SEC is claiming LBC tokens used to tip creators on the platform unregistered securities, they say, which is like equating Disney dollars with Disney stock. It is embarrassing. Thank you, crypto law. They go on to say the market cap of libraries' use token is minuscule and no fraud or malfeasance has been alleged. But the company told the court SEC threatened to make it very expensive for the company unless it caved in. Congress should never allow bureaucracies to even imply blackmail, because that's exactly what they did there. And it is despicable of the SEC agency. I don't know about you, but I've seen enough that Gary Gensler should be made to step down from that chair. There's no question. Right here, this is a question about the SEC versus Ripple case. Fred Rispoli, shout out to you for getting back to all of us and being a legal analyst on all things in the matter of SEC versus Ripple and other legal cases that are complaints are jumping off in this space. Curious on your thoughts, he says, but based on the SEC's unprofessional behavior to date, which has been noted very well by the judge at this point, including its recent objection to Judge Torres on emails, for the Hinman emails, I have to predict that it attempts to appeal to the Second Circuit in order to squeeze out more delay. I happen to agree with Fred that that's exactly what they'll do. I said, but let me ask this question. Based on the SEC's bad behavior, can Judge Torres rule against the SEC, stopping them from wasting the court's time any further, understanding that they have operated outside the faithful allegiance to the law? And Fred responds back here. He says, yes, Judge Torres can deny SEC's request for interlocutory appeal. At the point, SEC could file a type of appeal called a writ of mandamus, which is the last-ditch appeal effort and rarely granted. And granted in this sense, would mean simply allowing further briefing. So that will be interesting to see that unfold as well, because it'll be, look, I think it's obvious what Fred has said here. I think we're going to see them certainly make the appeal because they've done everything they can to stall the case, which is very odd for a plaintiff to do that took 8 years to bring the case. However, with that being said, you know, what I find interesting about this is that whether the Judge Torres will entertain the notion at all, noting the unprofessional behavior to date. We'll keep an eye on that. Fred, thank you so much. Remember, we want to keep an eye on this. Shout out to James K. Filan, another legal analyst that keeps us involved in what's going on here. And we want to watch out for all of this coming down here, right? And he says right here, do I expect the SEC to try to get those issues before the second court? Probably through a petition of writ of mandamus, just as Fred Rispoli suggested here, and that will take some time to decide, although the standard for granting such a petition is high, as Fred mentioned. The Second Circuit is issued at least one decision in which granted a petition in a discovery relating case involving law enforcement privilege. As he had mentioned, this is James K. Filan now, a tweet on April 20th, 2022. He thought the decision on the Hinman speech issues would be made while the summary judgment motions are pending, but the clock is ticking. Additional time for an SEC reply been granted, and I'm no longer as sure as I was before, he says. We know motions for summary judgment, undisputed facts must be filed by September 13th, and any responses and oppositions to those motions should be filed by October 18th, and reply to those motions must be filed by November 15th. So everything turned in by November 15th is what we're looking at. And then we have to wait, and we could wait as much as till March of next year. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Now, let's get to this. This is Jimmy Vallee, who says we could see a black swan event in the next 4 weeks. I asked the question, could a USD Tether collapse be such an event for crypto, or will it be bigger towards the economy itself? We're going to talk about that more in just a second.
Again, this is just an opinion of a sovereign individual, not a legal opinion. When do you think that that case will come to a close? Feel intuitively, and so maybe agree on the open market again. Again, not a legal opinion.
There's two. The summary judgment motions. This will be a case that's decided not by a jury, but it'll be decided by a judge. And so there will be summary judgment motions made by either side where, the facts and the law will not be in dispute, and it'll be up to the judge to decide kind of how it's going to happen. That's all supposed to come together in November. I believe that we're going to have a market event. I don't know what that's going to be, but I believe they're going to have a market event within the next 4 weeks.
Now, that's quite interesting of a statement there, because we know we got plenty of trouble with the Fed being able to control inflation right now. Warren Davidson rightly asked a question, as I did yesterday, when Jerome Powell said he doesn't think we're in a recession. And I asked the question, how does somebody at his level just get to say, I don't think? I mean, you're supposed to know. And that's what Warren Davidson's basically saying. The Federal Reserve has hundreds of economists who apparently cannot identify the causes of inflation or the presence of a recession. Apparently, Secretary Yellen cannot either. Why are these people on America's payroll? Such a great, great question. Now I want to take you to this clip, which I think is very profound, from just a short time ago. Remember when Jerome Powell said this? Here we go.
Changes are taking place in the global monetary system looking forward, rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar in the future. Most major economies already have or are in the process of developing instant 24/7 payments. Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. And in light of the tremendous growth in crypto assets and stablecoins, we are examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve upon what is an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. As our white paper on this topic notes, a U.S. CBDC could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing.
Now that is a powerful statement from Jerome Powell. Rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar. And remember, just not long ago, we reported on the idea and understanding that BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are in fact coming together with even more nations like Turkey and Saudi Arabia and others to join and introduce their own global reserve currency. Not a guess, not speculation. They said they're doing it. So the question is for me, is are we going to see a moment like a black swan moment happen that's not just for crypto, but one that maybe the Fed has already forecasted through Jerome Powell's comments about the international role of the US dollar changing rapidly? Could that take place and become a role that collides cryptocurrency and stable coins and CBDCs all together in one amazing moment? Now, I'm not suggesting, boom, there it is, and then the next day we have it all ironed out legally, because it's going to take some time, and we know that. But I do believe that stablecoin legislation can be that important to help set the stage for such events taking place. No question about it. It is a foundational moment. We need to have that legislation. Now, I want to show you this. Check this out.
Here. So the most important thing when you are running a stablecoin and you want it to be tethered to the underlying national currency, that in this case is the dollar, is having instruments in your portfolio that track the underlying currency, and of course you have to have the right type of reserves. As we have seen with U.S. Treasuries, we were able to fulfill around $7 billion in redemptions in 48 hours, $10 billion in 1 week, and around $20 billion in 1 month.
Paulo, thank you for that clarification.
And this is the stablecoin USD Tether CTO.
I think what you explained there is that Tether is not literally pegged to the dollar. As the name and marketing suggest, it's pegged to your portfolio of assets, and that worth is determined by what the market believes, which isn't always stable and isn't always a dollar. It went as low as 96 cents earlier this year. So that may not be obvious to everyone. Thank you. Let's move on to those reserves. As you said, you're reducing the amount of commercial paper. You ultimately want to get that to zero. Have you ever used commercial paper holdings as collateral?
No.
You've never used, have you ever used treasuries as collateral?
Not that I know.
And do you have an outside management firm that manages treasury bills and commercial paper and your reserves?
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Does an outside firm manage your holdings of reserves of commercial paper, treasury bills, etc.?
No, we have $5 billion.
No. The answer is no to all three of those, and the answer is not good to all three of those again. Now, bringing that back to understanding what we're talking about with Jerome Powell and to how we could see the international role of the U.S. dollar changing rapidly, we have to understand really how important stablecoin legislation really is. You know, it reminds me of this. Let me show you this now. To be fair, USD Tether, as I understand it, is registered with FinCEN, and so was Celsius. This was Caitlin Long making what I found to be a very profound comment, and I remember talking about it and discussing it with Daniela Camboni on Stansberry Research. She said, right after the Celsius collapse, markets are about to learn that being licensed does not mean an intermediary is regulated. Registration with FinCEN does not mean intermediary is regulated. Licensing as a lender or money transmitter does not mean it's regulated either, but regulation is inevitable now. This makes me think of USD Tether being next. Although that they, as I understand it, are registered in fact with FinCEN. They're registered. It doesn't mean you're regulated. And then you start to factor in BRICS is developing their own global reserve currency. Jerome Powell is talking about the US dollar role changing rapidly in the international environment. All of this is leading me to believe that we could see some kind of black swan moment. Now, whether that's in 4 weeks or not, I'll leave that to Jimmy Valley and everybody else. But for me, I definitely believe there is a moment coming, and it will be a tipping point. And there will be no going back from this tipping point. There is a new digital era among us, and it will require the US dollar to be digital as well. I do not believe the US dollar is going away, but I do believe a change is going to come. Look, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know, and I'll catch all of you on the next one.